Welcome back. You're watching ED Insight. A failed merger, successive bailouts that have done no apparent good, and bitter infighting between employees and the management. With a list of woes as long as that, it's not surprising that there are many who believe Air India is on its last leg. Arvind Jadhav, the airline's top boss, has to present a turnaround plan to the Prime Minister by the 25th of July. But is a turnaround possible at all? Nikhil Shivadas finds out.
It's exactly 2 years since Arvind Jadhav was appointed chairman and managing director of NASL, the entity created by merging Air India and Indian Airlines. At that time, the expectations from him were high, and he had the tough job of turning around the airline's waning fortunes. And he had a solid plan to rescue the company.
The focus is on revenue generation and cost reduction. And the government is very clearly saying that we have to come out with a very concrete plan detailing this and what every month we are going to do. And unless we come out with a detailed plan, which we had submitted a plan, this one, but they're saying they want much more details on that one, and they want to make sure that the initiatives of the Air India are realistic.
At that time, NASL formulated a turnaround plan involving fleet rationalization, route profitability, manpower rationalization and structural changes. The company set a target to reduce its fleet by 30% from 146 aircraft to 105 aircraft by March 2011. A year and 2 bailouts worth 2,000 crore rupees later, NASL had saved 753 crore rupees during the year, but losses remained at the previous year's levels of 5,550 crore rupees. At that time, the Ministry of Civil Aviation had said that a turnaround and financial restructuring plan of NASL was continuously monitored by the government and that financial assistance had been linked with the achievement of specified targets. But things took a dramatic turn for the worse in 2011. One of the immediate concerns for Air India is to recast its debt. A debt of about 40,000 crore rupees, of which 18,000 crore rupees is working capital loans taken from a consortium of banks, while the balance 22,000 crore rupee worth of loans is for buying new aircraft. Now, while new aircraft are necessary for fleet modernization and growth, the interest rate of 12% per annum on the debt is a drain on its finances. And now everyone is skeptical whether the airline will survive at all.
They're incurring a loss of 20 crores every day, which means approximately 600 crores a month, which means 7,200 crores every year. So no one is answering these questions. It is going on. And when you talk to them, they talk about international recession, they talk about international fuel prices, they talk about competition, but no one talks about their incompetency, their mismanagement.
Air India's case is not unique. Several other national carriers across the globe have also faced a similar decline in fortunes when private players were permitted. In 2005, Malaysia Airlines only had cash to support 4 months of operations and had rung up losses of over $386 million over a 9-month period. However, the airline took aggressive measures which involved selling off the company's headquarters, firing thousands of staff, as well as the launch of new low-fare campaigns and an expanded strategic reach. All that helped the airline stave off bankruptcy. Other national carriers like Sri Lankan Airlines and Singapore Airlines met with a similar fate. Now all these players have successfully turned around. So what's the magic formula for Air India?
We've seen that in other parts of the world. Legacy carriers have had to adapt to that, cut their own costs, modify their own products. I think Air India has faced a number of challenges in executing a similar strategy here.
What they need to do is maybe find some way of writing off the 14,000 crore loss, hand it over completely to a private professional management, a professional, not the yes men that they like, the airline professionals, who can stand up and be independent and tell them to take a walk when they feel that the government is interfering too much. And that is how Singapore Airlines built itself up to the top level today.
The government will have to take some tough decisions like cutting staff costs and rationalizing routes, bringing in professionals and setting up an independent board. To be fair, most of this has been done by the merged entity. But the plan seems to be failing because the company's financial problems are mounting nevertheless. Some say that privatizing the airline and having a CEO who does not report to the government could be the magic answer to turn around the airline.
We start with the Satyam-like group, give them a decisive mandate, and the mandate should be to look at every option about Air India, which includes continuation as a government airline, which includes privatization, which includes step-up privatization or a partial leading to a full privatization, or even look at a closure.
And last but not the least in any way are the suggestions made by the Committee on Public Sector Undertakings. The committee recommended that the leadership of NACL should be put on a mission mode with a mandate spelt out in unequivocal terms to turn the company around within a specified period. It linked the leadership and structure of the company. The committee recommended making NACL a holding company under which two separate wings, NACL Indian Airlines with its headquarters at Delhi and NACL Air India with its headquarters in Mumbai, each headed by a managing director reporting to Chairman NACL, needs to be considered. It further stated that all the loss attributable to the merger of Indian Airlines and Air India should be recouped by the government. It was of the view that it is imperative for NACL to have lucrative air routes and suggested that the Ministry of Civil Aviation conduct a transparent review of the entire route and slot allocations and make necessary changes to ensure that NACL is not at a disadvantage.
Basically, many routes which were commercially very viable, which were filled with passengers, were suddenly stopped for no rhyme or reason. So how do you run an airline? By surrendering the commercially viable routes, by giving it the prime time to somebody else, or surrendering it so that some private airlines takes over.
The committee recommended having a mandatory energy audit by an external auditor to assess the avoidable fuel losses and optimize fuel consumption. It suggested having strict compliance and performance benchmarks as a precondition to a phased capital infusion, and freeing NACL from pressure to retain commercially unviable routes. It recommended merging the employees of the entities with reference to the pay scales rather than designations, and suggested linking pay cuts and hikes proportionately with pay scales. But this is a tall task for a company that has traditionally been burdened with legacy issues like red tapeism and bureaucracy. What NACL needs right now is a strong management that has not only the will and the mandate, but also the power to turn around the company. And that puts the ball back into the court of the Civil Aviation Ministry.
So does the government have a detailed plan to rescue the ailing airline? Find out after this short break. Stay with us.